When it comes to our magazines, we read more, read longer, and subscribe more often to print than digital. While publishers talk about embracing the digital future of their publications, ordinary people like you and me still prefer to read a good glossy. I'll be presenting today's magazine pulse, a look at where the industry has been and where it might be going in terms of online and the future of print. First, magazine history. In 1440, the printing press was created, and so started the creation of regular and annual pamphlets and publications. After a few hundred years of that, in 1663, Johann Rist creates the Edifying Monthly Discussion, a self-published pamphlet distributed around Germany that discussed philosophy, art, and reviews of literature. In 1731, an Englishman named Edward Cave published a periodical called the Gentleman's Magazine. He invented the word magazine from the Arabic word makhazin, which meant storehouse. The first American magazine was published in 1741, not far from where we are now, in Glassboro, over in Philadelphia, by the printers Andrew Bradford and Benjamin Franklin. In the late 1800s and early 1900s, the world saw a large rise in literacy and free time due to the Industrial Revolution. This created a market for special interest and publications that dealt with parochial topics. In the 1930s, you see the creation of publications like Esquire. This is considered to be the modern era of magazines. The past of magazines is not as interesting as the potential future. Many industry people would say the century of the magazine was from the 1920s to now the 2020 era, seeing as there has been much decline in ad revenue in the last decade. In 2014, a 12% decline shows an early trend of consumers straying away from unknown sources and staying with long-term brands. In 2010, the time spent reading magazines was 24 minutes daily. That dropped to 18 minutes daily by 2015 and even lower by 2018, with readers spending only 15 minutes a day with a magazine, according to Statista, an online research group. Time isn't the only thing lessening in the magazine industry. Since 2004, retail sales have diminished from 103 million down to 75 million, with most magazines suffering an 11% decrease in ad page revenue, according to an internal study done by Time Magazine Incorporated. Let's look at magazine reader trends. Readers are more in tune with what they want. With so much information online, it can be hard to stay on one topic. Magazines provide a consistency, typically in subject and target audience. Unlike newspapers, which are general, magazines have made a business of being specific. Large publishers have realized that some magazines will survive online just as well as they did in print, namely tabloids and lifestyle. The trends growing among publishers are to pull magazines off the shelves that are similar to this, opting for digital versions. So, funds can be allocated to produce more luxurious and niche magazines, which are still seeing growth in the segment. Another recent trend online is using social media to ease or even preview articles from most recent issues. These teasers are in hopes to get subscriptions. This typically comes in the fashion of a swipe up to read more tagline. Much of the industry research would seem to show that advertisers are liking magazines less than audiences. There is a strong preference for paper, for something that is tangible, that folks can hold, take with them, and use to escape from their everyday life. Let's discuss engaging readers. Engaging audiences through contests, a combination of print and online interactive stories, along with asking audiences what they want more of, and brand partnerships have set magazines above other print media. This is the evolution of the medium. However, most magazine readers say they do not typically follow magazines they buy on social media, but rather see the stories when they are trending or because of content algorithms. 73% of polled North Americans in a Freeport Press survey of over 1,000 people said they do not subscribe to any digital magazine, opposed to 79% of those polled saying that within the day they read between 10 to 60 minutes of a glossy. Of the same polled group, 63% say they do not follow the magazines they subscribe to on social media. Let's get away from all this industry talk about reader trends and ad revenues and get to the real reason of why magazines are important, why they matter. Magazines offer readers countless amounts of content on special interests, not to mention trade publications, which still account for a strong segment of the market. And they have helped usher in the evolution of print, where most newspapers have not been able to entirely bridge the gap of online readership and print. Some magazines are finding ways to make these partnerships work. And those that do not engage on the digital side are reaping a different type of benefit. That benefit is the experiential part of magazines. They are becoming an experience, a luxury, a break from the monotony of being on your phone and checking Twitter, where you can turn to a source and a brand that has been there for a long time with a traditional style journalistic team backing it up. This is so different than clickbait and what people get on the internet, where they never feel safe with what they're reading. It is not all doom and gloom for the print industry. As new measurements are introduced and publishers develop innovative ways to create deeper connections with readers, magazines might have a bright future. And we're seeing this largely in part due to brand ambassadors who are helping show new generations that there is validity in subscriptions and having a paper in hand product. You're also seeing things like the development of brand partnerships between companies like Esquire and Dior, who have created an entire house together to showcase fashion elements and lifestyle for both companies. Even Condé Nast has joined this trend, teaming up with Gwyneth Paltrow and her brand Goop to create a quarterly magazine based on the product and her specific lifestyle. One of the most critical factors in the future of magazine survival is one that scares many people, and it is the stepping down and firing and replacing of many figurehead editors in the world with younger, more web journalism based editors that also don't cost an arm and a leg. The days of the rock star editor are over. And that is sad for some, but beneficial for the industry as a whole. I, like many others who grew up on magazines and still hold subscriptions to several magazines today, think that there is a bright silver lining and a lot of hope for those dazzling glossies. Thank you for listening to my presentation. Have a wonderful day. I am Tyler Carmen.